Hey everyone, it's Kevin McCormick from Big Picture Investing here. I'm going to be doing a quick earnings roundup of the over 10 earnings deep dives we have done over August 11th and August 12th. If you want to dive deeper into any of these stocks that we're about to mention, you can look into our analysis under the second quarter earnings on Big Picture Investing. With that said, let's jump into a quick overview of the biggest earnings from August 11th and 12th. We're going to kick things off with Plug Power, one of the fallen angels from a couple years ago. This was a high flyer talking about green hydrogen, and boy, it has come a long way since then. Quick highlight of the revenue, $174 million. In revenue, 21% year-over-year increase, but like I said before, this has been a real big decliner over the last couple of years. They did have some margin improvement, and the stock did rise in after hours up to a whopping $1.55. If you were someone who was investing this a couple of years ago, you understand why that current stock price does not feel too good. Next up, AMC Entertainment. This was one of the highlights of COVID and the meme stocks out there. But it does look like AMC is finally turning a corner. They had great revenue growth, almost 36%, turned a profit, operating cash flow, and free cash flow for AMC. If you haven't looked at AMC in a while, I do recommend checking out this deep dive. They have really turned the corner and are making a lot of money off of those premium theaters. Monday.com, if you're not familiar with this one, this is a work operating system platform out there. It went public a few years ago. They reported earnings, and, it was interesting, but, they had the IPO June 21st. It's up and down. The biggest problem with the earnings outlook at Monday.com was a deceleration in earnings growth and revenue, which the street doesn't like to see for these high flyers. More information, like I said, go check it out on the second quarter earning analysis on our channel. Okla, man, we have another one of these with not very much revenue in there, but this has been a stock that a lot of people have been throwing money at lately because it does the small nuclear reactors for energy production. But the problem with Okla is it does not have any revenue right now and will not for years to come. So if you're trading this, it's a great trading stock out there, but for a long-term investment, you might want to wait a couple more years to see when they actually are going to be producing energy with their nuclear reactor technology. But the good news is it does have $683 million in cash, so they can keep the company running, and they did capitalize on the run-up that a lot of people gave in the stock price to help raise money. But as I mentioned before, there's no revenue coming in, and they are losing money every day. Big Bear AI second quarter earnings were not something the street was very happy about. And I understand why. AI might be a hot buzzword right now, but Big Bear had a decline in revenue. Not what you want to hear from what is supposed to be an AI software company working heavily with the U.S. government. So that did play into part of the decline. But, you got Palantir and other companies out there selling to the government, and they're crushing it and selling to multiple customers, whereas Big Bear AI had a deceleration in revenue, and that's not good when you're a high-flying AI stock. AST Space Mobile, very interesting company here. They're working on, maybe you saw the commercial during the Super Bowl from T-Mobile about getting text messages to your cell phone without any extra technology using your existing phone. Well, this is one of the companies behind it. They are launching more and more satellites to start offering this service globally, but kind of like Okla out there, they're not really selling anything today. They're still in pre-revenue launch mode, trying to get those satellites up in the sky so they can start offering this service and collecting revenue. Interesting company. Recommend taking a deeper look at it if this is the kind of speculation you like to do. Bitcoin Depot, falling into the Bitcoin craziness out there. This is just one of those Bitcoin ATMs that you've probably seen out there in the wild. Over 900 of them at Circle K's out there. They actually saw an increase in revenue, gross profit, and net income. All interesting things to see for a company that is just literally an ATM for Bitcoin. But one of the things that was able to help this company show good growth was the actual increase in the price of Bitcoin itself. They have on their balance sheet about 100 Bitcoin that they use for transactions to help speed up the transaction of transferring Bitcoin to and from you as the end user at the ATM. Interesting little company, but not the area I want to be in if you're interested in being invested in crypto technology. eToro. This is another interesting recent IPO out there. I think this was their first quarter since going public. Yeah, first quarter since going public where they have reported. They are a trading platform out there, but most of their customers are not located in the U.S. So if you're global, you may have heard of eToro a little bit more and maybe using them as your platform. They like to use a number called net contribution to measure their revenue, and that was up 26% year over year. Adjusted earnings of $72 million, a 31% increase, and adjusted EPS of 56 cents, all beating the street, and the stock was up after earnings. It was nice to have a company with actual earnings to report this last couple days as well. Now we'll jump into Tencent Music Entertainment out of China. Once again, if you're a U.S. person, you probably haven't heard of Tencent too much, but they are the music platform in China. They're doing a lot of interesting things out there as well, so recommend checking it out. But their financial performance was good, and they showed good, strong growth trajectories. 17.9% revenue growth year over year. Net profit grew 43.2%, and the gross margin increased as well. All great things to see from a company like this. Lululemon Holdings. For those of you that follow me for my recommendations on AI infrastructure, this is one of the ones that plays in the same area as Astra Labs and Coherent, which if you're a strong follower of me, you know I'm a big fan of Coherent, and their earnings will be coming out in a couple weeks. But they offered decent earnings, great growth, turned a profit, as you would expect from a company that is at the key intersection of the AI data center build-out. These AI center build-outs need more than just GPUs, folks, and they are one of the companies supplying that infrastructure. Definitely recommend taking a deeper dive into this one if you are not familiar with the company. Kava Group. As a fan of eating at Kava myself, you never see a bowl as big as that one, though, in that picture. But it was very sad to see that this one got crushed in after hours today. Down over 20% the last time I looked, and it is down because of the same store sales decline. Street was looking for 6.1%, but they came in at 2.1%. If you want to look at the other side of the coin, the other people like Chipotle and Sweetgreens out there have seen declining same-store sales. So I guess they're the worst one in the bunch. But they're going to continue growing their stores. They did have an EPS beat, but that forward guidance is what scared the street, and this stock is getting crushed today after hours. CoreWeave, hitting again on our AI infrastructure. CoreWeave is they wouldn't like me saying it, but basically a data center company hosting GPUs out there. They were the first to be running the new Blackwell chip from NVIDIA. They are crushing it when it comes to their year-over-year growth with $1.21 billion, which was a 206% year-over-year increase, but they continue to lose money. And if you look at adjusted EBITDA, where they pull out some of their stock-based compensation, they are trying to show a profit. This one is down in after hours today as well, in part because we do have the IPO lockup period expiring on Friday. And after this enormous run this stock has had since its IPO, wouldn't surprise anyone out there if some of the holders of those shares choose to sell starting on Friday. And last up today is for all of those folks out there, kind of like today's theme seemed to be companies with no revenue. We'll end it with Rigetti Computing, which is a quantum computing startup out there. As you would expect, not a whole lot of revenue in a quantum computer startup because quantum computing is not commercialized yet. But this company does have a very strong cash position to keep their company going, thanks in part to the run-up in the stock price that has occurred from what I would call trading positions and people buying it as a quick trading stock, not as a long-term investment. But if you're more interested in quantum computing and what they are doing here, I recommend taking a look at this deep dive along with any of the other ones that we have done over the last 2 days. Like I said, we've done over 10 of them, and this is your earnings roundup for the period of August 11th and August 12th. Stay tuned for more earnings and deep dives.